This happened to me once, the longest week of my life. What is up, Napolitanos? David Peterson here from 411 Naples. I'm not gonna lie, I love watching movies and TV shows. I became a realtor to help people buy and sell their homes, and over the last 3 years, I've run across some funny clips that highlight what it's like to be a realtor. So let's jump in. The first scenes come from the hit TV show Modern Family, where Phil Dunphy, a realtor, is just finishing up an open house.
Have a good one.
Oh no.
I like how they show him cleaning up after an open house. Running an open house takes all day.
Monday lunch, Monday dinner, Tuesday breakfast.
Not gonna work.
Welcome home.
This is funny. So some people, when they're selling their house, they're doing it because they're tired of them. So they do what we call in the business deferred maintenance. Or in other words, you're deferring it for later. So the problem is these items usually get called out for an inspection. You usually have to fix those items anyway, otherwise the contract's at risk of not going through. This is the part of TV shows and movies you don't see very often, but it does happen, and sometimes realtors run into broken things. So this is my favorite part of the whole clip where he says, "Welcome home." As realtors, we are often on our best behavior, and no more so than we're in an open house. We're meeting new clients for the first time, and we want to make a good impression on them. I also see a pen in this clip. I think if it were me, I would try to pry the door open a little bit or get at the internal locking mechanism to try and let myself out, or if not that, at least a credit card. Generally in people's houses, we don't see high security locks within the house. That's generally just the outside of the house. So a lock like this would probably be pretty easy to get through the door. So, I mean, it's funny, but probably not very likely in this situation. The next clip is from House MD. This is one of my favorite series from the early 2000s.
Persia, you're the one always saying it must be drugs.
You figure she's a minority? She must be stoned?
You know that's not what I...
She seems like a nice girl.
You haven't met her. She was pregnant at 15, dropped out of high school. She's a real overachiever.
Come on, cut her some slack. Her baby died of SIDS.
This isn't some romantic story about a nice girl scarred by tragedy. She's a drug-using scam artist scarred.
Second ex-Mrs. Wilson won money.
I'm no longer paying alimony. She wanted her independence, so she got her realtor's license.
Market's doing badly. She wants money.
Market's doing badly. She's moving into a condo.
She wants
me to take Hector.
pool boy.
Dog.
So here, House is antagonizing his best friend Wilson because he sees his ex-wife in the hallway. He mentioned that the market is bad, and that's why she got into real estate. I'd argue that the market is never bad. We go through cycles of high and low prices. When prices are low, we call this a buyer's market. When prices are high, we call this a seller's market.
Start her on steroids.
Good idea.
Told you, it was boring. I gotta go out.
Why?
Wilson's got a date.
It's got 15-foot ceilings. It's an open floor plan. You know, I can't believe you called me.
Hey, I need a condo. Didn't you and Wilson have your first date around here?
Wow, you remember where our first date was. I didn't think you were paying attention.
Really? He's my best friend.
Our first date was in Boston.
Oh, not quite as close to here as I remembered.
But we're not here to talk about him.
Absolutely not.
So here, Bonnie opens up with a little bit about the house. When you're showing 10 plus houses to a client that's only going to be in town for the weekend, you tend to schedule those showings all together. You don't really have the time to look through and memorize the details in each and every house, especially when the client themselves may not even be sure what they're looking for yet. I usually comment on things I can see, like, oh, how do you like the floor plan? Or, oh, how do you like this gas range? That way I'm trying to figure out what the client is looking for, even if they don't know themselves yet. And through this process, they'll look through and say, oh yeah, I do like this open floor plan, or no, I kind of don't like this gas range, for example.
Wait till you see the kitchen. All granite countertops.
Since I wasn't paying attention back then, what was it like dating him?
So it's good to make a good first impression with people when you meet them, so they need a good reason to keep you top of mind. In this case, Bonnie is a little eager to finish showing the property to House instead of really digging down and finding out what it is he's looking for. And she also doesn't catch on to the fact that he's just looking for dirt on his friend.
To a sticky trap. And once you're the focus of all that attention, it's addictive. This unit's kitchen's got a chef's oven.
I cook a lot. Go on.
It's the emotional stuff that really sucks you in. He's just so knight in shining armor, you know? Always there to support you until one day he's not, but by then you're hooked.
So here's an interesting fact. Realtors usually, or should usually, open all the blinds and turn on all the lights when they're showing a property. What this does is it highlights the house and makes it look more presentable and cleaner and brighter. She's also here with a male client at night. This usually isn't the best time to show any client a property. For one, there's less light like we've already discussed, and for two, it's not as safe at night, just generally, because as you're going to and from your car, to and from the condo or the house, it's harder to see what's out there. And number three is that most people, if they're still living in the house, they need somewhere to go to sleep at night. So it's generally a lot tougher to even schedule a night showing. For that reason, most realtors just won't show properties when it's dark out or when it's late at night.
Hey, do you think that you could talk to him about taking the dog? He's the only one that Hector really gets along with.
Hey, we're here to talk real estate, not Wilson.
I love this line. Once House is done getting all the personal information he needs out of her, and then he reminds her that, we should be talking about real estate. So it's just, if you've watched the show before, you kind of get that it's just his personality to just get what he wants and then move on.
Bonnie called last night to talk about the dog. Your name came up.
Good Lord. How do you still have teeth?
She's the worst realtor in New Jersey. What is this, escalation?
So I don't know what makes her the worst realtor in New Jersey, but this line is funny. The secret about real estate that a lot of people don't realize is it doesn't take very long to become licensed and registered in order to sell real estate. So it only takes about 63 hours of classroom time, a background check, and you pass an exam in order to get your license. So people think that because it's easy to do that it's easy to be a realtor. It ain't easy. Something like 90% of realtors out there will leave the business after only 1 or 2 years because it's difficult to make it in the real estate business. If you don't have a good mentor and someone who can actually teach you how to enable the transactions, if you're not willing to learn how the contracts in and out, how to work with people, be good at sales, then you're not going to be a good realtor. And those are some of the things I think make a good realtor. So a good mentor is kind of crucial in that path to becoming a good realtor. So I imagine the worst realtor would be something just the opposite of that. They get the realtor's license, but they don't know how to do the contract. They're not easy to get a hold of, and they don't understand the contract inside and out.
You haven't been returning my phone calls.
I'm busy.
Well, but if you have half an hour, a little later this afternoon, I just found this unit 10 minutes from here. It hasn't been on the market yet.
I'm off the market for condos.
James was right. I never had the teeniest chance of selling you anything.
Of course he was right. Wilson doesn't stop giving good advice just because you're divorced. He's compulsive about remaining on good terms with his exes.
So realtors are paid by the closing, not necessarily by how many hours they spend house hunting with the client. This hit me in the feels because I've had a client before that has wasted my time. They were just looking and they never actually had any intention on buying. So Bonnie was willing and able to look for properties for house that aren't even on the market, and she was willing to go to his office and personally invite him to go look at a property. This, to me, would be a really good realtor. The only mistake I think she's making here, she didn't pre-qualify house, so she doesn't know until now that he's wasting her time. We try not to take it personal. Sometimes when a deal we're working on, or we've been working with a certain client for months, doesn't go through, yeah, it can be disappointing. But I think that realtors that are successful try not to take these upsets too personally and just kind of see them as part of the business. It always pays to keep in touch with those people that you have been working with, even if deals don't go through, because, like I said, sometimes they'll need your help going forward in the future. In this case, House and Wilson do end up moving into a condo together, so whatever agent helped them in that situation, they got the commission on that deal. That's it. So those are some fun examples of TV show clips that I've found over the years. Some are a little more accurate than others, but it's always kind of fun to see what Hollywood's take is on the profession and what they think that really goes on from day to day. If you'd like to see more Realtor React type videos or where I review TV shows and movies, go ahead and subscribe. And if you enjoy this content, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps. Other than that, take care and we'll see you next time. Ciao.